When I first saw this truck and thought it might be something that I wanted to work on, I went out there a time or two. And every time I went out, man, the wind was blowing. The section after this little intro, you can hear it. And I really kind of rushed through that part of it. I don't like doing voiceovers. Sometimes that's just the way it is. But we were having 40-mile-an-hour winds all the time out at this place. No matter what time I got there, the wind seemed to always be blowing. So anyway, you'll hear it here in a second. 93 F-150. So it had a rat's nest in it, all in this area, and he pulled a lot of it out. You can still see the big old rat turds. The rat was trying to steal it with that wrench. So chewed off all these wires, whatever that one goes to, air conditioning line. They left a stick, valuable stick, but it's a 300 straight six. Great engine. Needs an oil pump from what they were talking about, or they said last time they drove it, the oil pressure gauge just dropped out after you drove it for 10 or 15 minutes. And so we're going to try and get it, put some tires on it today, and they're looking for the key, and then try to get it over to the house so that we can start working on it. You hear the donkeys over there. Awesome. But it's a 94 F-150, probably XL or custom, what it says on that. XL. No idea how many miles it has on it because we can't get power to it yet. Pretty nasty. As usual. But really has potential. I mean, the clear coat, you know, you can see where the clear coat is worn off on it, but I think it's going to buff out. Some good old 90s model forest green. Yeah, I bet you that's the glove box key then. If it doesn't fit anything, I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, but that fits in that.
In the ignition.
In that door. No.
Well, I'll mess with it. The ignition is broken, but
Okay.
I know it works in the door. It should be the same key.
It should be the same key.
Okay. All right.
I don't know about that other one.
Okay. Well, if it doesn't fit anything, I'll get it back to you. It might fit on something on your white truck.
Yeah, the white one or that.
Oh yeah,
that blue one. Down
yeah.
there.
Yep. Well, he said you're going to fix that blue. You're going to work on that blue one.
I'm gonna work on that blue one.
Are you going to bring it down here to work on it?
I'm gonna bring it down here. And work on
All right.
I'm gonna jack it up and put tires on it and hold it down here and pick it up.
Yeah, that's going to be a great truck. That was your grandpa's?
That was my granddad.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
The 1970 model.
1970. That's a great truck.
I got it running.
Yeah.
The truck is, you can get it running. And it runs okay so far, but when you first start it, it won't run flat.
The bad deal is my jack loses pressure kind of quick. Need a hammer. I don't want to bend up my rim though.
Pretty tired.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just hope. Same pattern, but let me get up a little more. Put the shovel. I don't know if I got that much lift in the jack. In there. All right, I think I got that line back up, so let's just, there we go, freedom. All right, well I'm gonna leave the key in it. I think that's the smart thing to do. Man, I should have brought the battery. Let's go. I'm gonna get that jumper deal. I just want to see. Well, I'm gonna get that jumper deal. Look at there. All right, I'm just gonna bump it, maybe. Dissonance. Two different buzzers. All right, hear that? Mm-hmm. Let me get one right here. And I'll spray that tonight and let it sit, and then see about getting the trailer, and I bet you we can get this thing on the trailer tomorrow. All right. Try this little trick. going to use this bottle jack, not really a bottle jack. I'm going to put it against the frame, put this against the inside of that wheel, that rim, and see if I can't get this thing to pop off of there. So chickens over there watching me. Maybe you can hear those. Big ranch over there. Tired. Let's see how that's not moving. Oh, yeah. Yes, I am breathing heavy. Alright. I think I put these in here. And to follow up on my assistant this morning, I'm tired. So, yeah, that's going to be hard to get off. So I got that tire on, got rollers all the way around. I think what I am about to do, yep, everything's holding here. I'm gonna put the battery in. I just wanna see if I can get it. I'm not gonna crank it over necessarily, but I wanna see if I can get some mileage readings off of the instrument cluster. That is my plan. So I set my battery in there, and I've got to trim a little bit of wire maybe on one of these. And I'm going to use some vice grips to make better contact. picked these up on sale, Milwaukee brand torque lock type vice grips. I don't know if I like them a whole lot, but they're what I have, and they will probably do the job if I can get them adjusted wide enough so that I don't jack up my battery. This is the battery for my Bronco, or for whatever car I happen to be working on at the time. Real vice grips. I got these 1989-ish, maybe 1990, and they have served me well. They were in a discard pile when I was in the military and getting out, and in our shop, a lot of the civilians, they had their own tools, but everybody would just throw them away when it came time to they could get new ones, and they would throw them in this bin. And a bunch of us poor GIs at times, when we saw something that was good, we would snag it. And most of the time, like this was painted black, a lot of them would have the initials of whichever guy they were etched into them. So those are on. I know they E086. Yeah, said I wasn't going to crank on it, but I did. Anyway, E086, I'll look that up when I get home. I'm going to disconnect that battery and I'm going to call it a night. I think the plan now is to get a trailer, kind of tow it out of this position and put it on a trailer and take it home. Awesome. Gonna do a little vacuuming, maybe. Try and get some of the filth out. Vacuum some of those droppings up. Just kind of hit it and then maybe try and crank it over a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but half of the fuel injector wires you can kind of see. So I'm trying to remove the harness for the fuel injectors. There's two prongs here, and then they go into the different injectors, and this one appears to still be connected. The second one is chewed. I can zoom in, you can sort of see about half of them have been chewed off by the rat, and so I'm going to try to pull that harness off. I found a similar one for the 4.9. It ought to be the exact one. There's one more connector in the back, right back there, that I need to unhook, but I'm going to try to pull those off and then get the new harness in, or this section of it. And then there's 2 or 3 of these vacuum hoses that have been chewed. I mean, there's multiple things that have been chewed up, but that ought to get the injectors to firing. I got it to crank, but I want to see about getting that harness replaced. I was going to just rewire it. I watched some repair videos on a similar truck, and a similar thing had happened, and they soldered wires on there, but the problem was the specific diameter of the wires. I mean, it has to be exact. For that truck it did, or things don't fire the way they're supposed to. So anyway, I'm going to work for a minute and see if I can get this harness loose or off. To get to the injectors, you're really supposed to take the intake off, and it's not all that complicated. I probably should do that anyway, just to clear all that stuff out from the rat's nest, but I'm trying to avoid that if at all possible. The more you take apart, in my instance, the more things can go wrong, and so but it's really not that hard. There are like 2, 4, 6 bolts that keep the intake on this side. You got to take the throttle body off. There's a few things that have to come off, not a lot. It's not all that hard. Like I said, maybe I'll end up doing that after all, but I'm going to try to get this harness off without doing that and just see how things play out. Got the first harness off, or first connector off. Man, it is filthy down in there. West Texas dirt. So I'm just gonna splice that, or finish cutting that. That hose needs to be replaced, obviously, but I think once I get that cut, I can just put it back on there. So get that one off. Not quite as dirty. I think those are 2 different style connectors, hopefully. Anyway, the short one goes right down there. Alright, now let's see if we can get the rest of it. So that first injector popped off pretty easy. red and yellow wire, red and tan, whatever. You can sort of see where it's kind of chewed a little bit. Just gonna keep trying to work my way down and see what I can do. So I really think this right here, right here anyway, I think that just loops around the back of the engine and plugs into each one of those respective fuel injectors. So I'm almost done, honestly. If that's the case, I'm gonna try. There's one more injector that's, I think, has not been chewed through, and then it's just a matter of, I think there's one clip on the back of the engine that has to be undone, and that ought to come out. So my goal for this section is I'm gonna disconnect the throttle body here, and then I really need to remove the intake manifold. The wiring harness, I've got it mostly loose, but the rats chewed the connectors, and I can pop them off the injectors just fine, but I want to make sure that there's nothing else. There's another, looks like another wiring harness that runs through there, or some different cables maybe, and I can see a couple of ends that are chewed that I can't get the camera in there. So I think if I pull all this off, I think it's just one gasket that I'll have to replace, if I can leave the throttle body connected. And so I think that's well worth taking this apart to be able to access all of this the way that that it needs to be done. And so I've disconnected this section of the wiring harness. There's a connector there, and then there's a second connector, and they both, it's kind of obvious. I think I videoed it the other day. And then there's a connector down on the bottom, and I think there's another one in the back that goes on to something, I'm not sure. I think there's 4 places where it connects other than the injectors. So I'm gonna give that a shot. I squirted some lubricant on the bolts that are holding the intake on this side, and then I'll see what's going on over here. And so let me grab some and begin. There's just this thing sat out in that field, or it's really right by a field in their back area, and it's just pretty filthy. But there's just dirt caked in everywhere. But I think once I get her apart, and I don't have a good place to put the camera, so I'm disconnecting the hoses from the filter. And so my iPhone's making this video. This is dangling, but I think it's going to be good enough quality. It's a warm day, about 90 degrees, a little bit humid. But that's all right. I think I don't have to take any more of this off. There's a bolt that stays on. There's a bolt down here. Let's see if I can show this. I think I just have to disconnect. Yeah, that doesn't look like it's attached, but it probably is. I don't know what else. That one. And then I think this connector So we'll see about doing that. That was already disconnected and I have no idea what that's to, but man, it's clogged with dirt. So you can see the rat just chewed through at one point or another, everything. The other end's right down here. So that's really what I'm trying to do, is to clear this top section off so that I can see what all. So this third one right here, it has that's not a ground strap, it's the support for that small gill, which really loosen that up. So that'll come out of the way. And then this one back here has the ground strap right here. And so, but this one's just that support. And so my guess is once I get this off, then the other bolt for the stud will have to come off. So let me just go ahead and keep loosening these up. So if I can put this at this angle, maybe that'll let us see a little bit. Nasty. It's just packing everywhere, cotton. And if I were to fire this thing up and let it run and get hot, I bet there'd be a fire in a minute. I can see it turning the top of the bolt sticking through the manifold has cotton on it, so I can see it slightly turning. Number one, it's the far back one. All right, I'm gonna pause this while I finish taking these out. Nothing interesting, just wasting battery. All right, so that was, I'm thankful. That was so not as hard as I anticipated it being and what I've seen. So I think it's, I'm gonna unplug the vacuum lines, but then I'm gonna remove this, and that should be, I think there's one bolt right here, and that should allow the throttle body and everything to come up. So let's take a look here. So we've got this top one coming off. Well, these are just nasty. Big black one coming off of that one. I don't know how that one's gonna come off. I'm just gonna disconnect this one from right here. That just seems like it's a little looser. All right, that one's off. And then I need to remove this. Let me get my needle nose pliers. And that just goes over to the brake vacuum. But this last one, it goes on this, the 2 o'clock position roughly, and it's the one that is chewed up that goes here, and that connects right here. So I will disconnect it. And those will be coming up and out of the way. Let's see if I can get that. All right, that's that. So, let's see what we got over here. So got this bottom bracket. It's 9/16. Show you real quick. It's this one right here. 9/16. I could probably just do it down here, but I'm gonna do it right here, I think. Looks like it's connected right back here. I don't know, let me just see. Nah, I'm gonna do the top one. I don't have to move that out of the way quite yet. I'll say that, but we do that bottom one after all. Wow, let me spray some stuff on it. The bottom one looks a little loose anyway, but it's just at a bad angle. Get this wrench in there. It hasn't released. Good night. Every time I take a bolt out of something that goes into the block, I remember the first time, maybe the first time I ever did a water pump. One of the bolts was on I think it was on my 69 Plymouth. That may have been on my 74 Ford, I can't remember. It was the first water pump. But I started backing that bolt out and it went into a water jacket, one of the cooling lines. And man, I thought I'd ruined everything. Coolant went everywhere. It just drained it. It was no big deal, but it was not what I was expecting at all. All right, that is out. There we go. So there's that bolt. Set that up here. All right. Let's see. All right, you win. So it'll fit on whatever this is. So I pried a little bit more and I got this started. Let's hope the bottom one comes out without breaking. Alright, so I got both of those bolts out of there, and I'm going to pop that thing off. Yeah, there we go. And now I think everything is disconnected from the intake, and it ought to come up. Well, with the exception of those. Ooh, those wires are in bad shape. I mean, hoses. Golly, nasty. All right. So let's see if we can get this thing lifted up and out. Oh, that's right. There it is. PVC fitting. I mixed all the cotton crap. Good night. How do you get? Sorry. All right. So what I need to do before I do much else is put something in all of these intake spots. Look at that. Devil's claw. All right, so let me take this down. Let me show you just a walk video across the top of this real quick. And then I'm gonna shut it off and I'm gonna fill everything that goes into the engine with paper towel or a rag or something just to keep it clean-ish. So, but you can see when I bought it, this whole area right here was jam-packed with rat stuff. And you can see this is the injector. There should be an injector line that goes to here. And you can see the rat has just chewed those. So let me go grab some stuff and get this plugged up, and then I'll start kind of cleaning. So I got all of them pretty much filled. All right, so cotton everywhere. This is a vacuum line harness. Most of them are chewed. I have no idea where that connects. There's a little line that goes right underneath that head, or right underneath the intake in the back. That's the only thing left holding it on. Go grab a mirror. So there's one piece on the harness that's connecting to something, and I can't seem to get my hand in there. Let's see, without the watch. Right there. Oh, boy, if my knee slips, I am so toast. I'm gonna be sucking up rat stuff. I think you can. All right. So there's probably no way this can be seen in the video. Right down through that hole, you can see where this little cap plugs right into the block, right underneath there. Anyway, that's where it is. I think I can get it from this bottom side. I got my hand on it. Now it's just a matter of getting it disconnected. Good night. That's easy enough. All right, so let's see. if this harness comes around. Alright, we're disconnected. Oh, still got a couple of the injectors that did not get chewed through. See if I can get them off without snapping without breaking the clips. Just in case I solder these. Get the screwdriver. So I'm gonna, once I get this out, I'm gonna make the assessment of whether I can solder back up to this and it still have a possibility of working. One off. And get number 6 off. These things are brittle. And number 6 off. Alright. So let's see. So I got it out, and so that's number 1, still usable. I can't determine if that is 2. Okay, here we go. So this was 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I think if I can figure out if that's what those wires right there were about, there's a chance. I mean, it's brittle as all. It's partly just that tape, but most of the other wires are there. I mean, I got a place to begin with. But look at that right there. These are, nah, I'm gonna have to order a new one. Look at those wires. I could actually, in theory, build a new harness. It's only 8 wires coming out of that part of the connector, but there's one for sale for 150 bucks that's in a whole lot better shape, so I didn't see that at the time. Yeah, that thing is shot. All right, but that's still awesome. So now it's just a matter of cleaning this up, and this injector's loose. Maybe that's the way they just sit in there. I've never worked on, no, they're all that way. I guess they just pop in. They're only about 30 bucks each, and so it may well be worth, while I got this thing apart, cleaning all this up really well and then putting new injectors in. So, all right, that's it for today. I didn't set the camera up to video. I thought, I haven't even looked at last time's footage of pulling the intake off, but it was bad. And I didn't have time or the location to hook up the regular video. But what I did, I picked up a new wiring harness, or one from another 94 F150 at a junkyard. And it was complete. There's only one tab that's broken, and it's right here, I believe. So that's not bad. It's in pretty good shape, pretty oily. And then I picked up the vacuum bundle, whatever it's called, that kind of runs along the same line around the back. And so the only trouble that I've had so far, I haven't got it all hooked up. I plugged in one injector, one vacuum line. When I was trying to clean it just a little bit, these things are so brittle, I snapped this vacuum line off. That goes right into this little connector right here. And so I'm gonna try and pull the little piece out and stick it in there and see if that'll work. But if not, I think I've got a piece of a vacuum line that's pretty small that may allow me to just put it on both of those. Remove this little connector, although I hate not doing things original. There's a reason for that, maybe. And so I've done that. I've picked up a couple of old spark plug wires, and so I've kind of been cleaning those. Spark plugs are nasty looking. I haven't even pulled them apart yet. Spark plugs are nasty. So I've just been trying to clean around. I cannot tell how much of this was oil leak versus just sitting out there and having residue, and then it sat in this field for 20 years. There's just so much stuff blown up in there that so I opted, it's probably a mistake, I have opted to not change the valve cover gasket at this point. My thoughts are, I know I've got to get down there and change the oil pump based on what he told me. And so if after I run it just a little bit, I should be able to tell if I clean it up if it's leaking, or how much oil that it's leaking around that valve cover gasket. And then I know I'll have to pull the top back off, but I'm already gonna have to be pulling the bottom off, and that'll just give me a chance to clean it up well. I just want to get it running at this point and see kind of what else needs to be taken care of. So that's kind of the status of things. I'm gonna work on that vacuum line, and I'm going to finish plugging the injectors in, and then I will set the intake on. Working on vacuum lines as well, and I still don't know where this goes. I saw a video that there's something that comes across the top. I need to look and see where that is. The other harness, it was chewed off all the way down to the nub, and so I had no idea. But I think there's something missing that goes across the top that this plugs into, and so I'm gonna do a little bit of research. But I'm gonna try and get all of this plugged in today. I doubt I'll get a chance to crank on it, but I just wanted to make a little recap or whatever of where things are at the moment. So I got the intake back on, it's not bolted in. Vacuum lines are run. Josh is here giving me moral support. So morally I am supported. So that's where things are. Just got to put that gasket into the thing and the other thing. So just a quick video. Once again, I'm going to try to crank it over. So this is the only wire that I have no idea where it goes so far. I think everything else is hooked up. This vacuum line goes there, and I got one of them off another truck, and it's a little different. I don't think that'll stop it from cranking. It's got oil. I have no idea about the gas. So it's been sitting since '05, and I found some paperwork in it that showed that a new tank and fuel pump were put in just a few years before that. So there's a good chance that it's at least 15-year-old gas, if not older than that. So I'm gonna finish rigging up some vice grips to get some juice running into it. Let me hook this back up here, and then we will see. Something is drawing energy because it sparks when I touch these. Oh, the door's open. So, and the key is on. I thought it was off, but let me just see if I can get these.
Ball carrier for a sedan is number 2, Ransom Boris.
Get this going.
Number 24, Garland pickup on them. And 2 yards on the plate. We'll bring out the thing down.
All right, I hear buzzing going on. So still videoing, and then let's just see what it does once you crank it. So next thing to do would be to check spark. But that's all I'm going to do for tonight, and I'm going to call it good. All right, we are battery. Just put it on the charger last night too.
You can put it on his resume. 3 months old.
Yeah, open. Sound too bad. How did it get full of dust?
It just kind of blows out.
Let's try it one more time. Just So my original plan was to finish getting this truck running, but there was a guy that was doing some work on the church and the parsonage, and he came along and saw where we were in the process, and he offered me a little bit more than what I was going to charge for the truck if I ever got it running. And so as much as I hated not to finish the project myself, I realized it was too good of a deal to pass up at that point. And so here he is loading it up and hauling it off. Thanks for watching. Sorry I didn't get to finish this truck like I had originally planned, but I appreciate you tagging along. And like and subscribe to Northwind, and I'll try to get some more content out in the near future. Have a blessed one.